Brad here at eTrailer, and today we're taking a look at installing the Blue Ox Patriot portable braking system on a 2013 Mini Cooper. When choosing a braking system for your flat-towed vehicle, it really comes down to how often you're flat towing, and generally if someone flat tows quite often, I'll recommend a fixed system, and that's really dependent on what brakes you have on your RV. But this vehicle has a very small engine bay, and getting a permanent system mounted up is not that easy. So a portable system really becomes a great option on the Cooper, purely because ease of installation and again that space. This system works really well. The only drawbacks of a portable system are going to be the fact that you have to set this up each time. It is very minor once you do it a few times, but you do have to store it, and it's not exactly a small thing. But some of the added benefits are going to be the monitor light that comes with it that you can see right away on the dash on the RV if the brakes are being applied. You can adjust the pressure as well on the fly, which you really don't get with other braking systems. And overall, I think this is a great option. If you've considered a portable system, this is definitely the one that I'd go with, purely based off of reliability, and we really never have issues. We've seen plenty of these come through the shop, and everyone seems to be extremely happy with them. I think some of the other pros of this kit is once you install it on your vehicle, it's super easy to get in place. And also, if you ever move to a different flat-towed vehicle, you can transfer it from vehicle to vehicle. It doesn't matter what brakes you have on your RV, it's going to work with it. Something that you are going to need to pick up for this to work is going to be a 12-volt outlet kit, and that's going to give you direct power to the battery, and it runs off a cigarette style 12 volts. So that way you have it directly in the vehicle to where you can plug it in and it's never going to lose power. A lot of times on vehicles that 12-volt outlet kicks off once the vehicle's off, so making sure you have constant power is going to be important. When flat towing any car, including a Mini Cooper, there's going to be 5 main components that are going to be required to safely do it. And the first one's going to be on the vehicle side. The base plate attaches structurally to the vehicle, to the frame, and that's going to become the mounting point for the rest of your components, and mostly your tow bar, which is going to tow the vehicle down the road. Tow bar is going to be that connection point between the base plate and the hitch on the RV. Now, going along with that base plate is safety chain loop attachments. So just like pulling a trailer, we have our safety cables that'll go from the base plate to the hitch on the RV. We also have a supplemental braking system, which is going to slow and stop the vehicle as you apply the brakes on the RV. And in case of a catastrophic disconnect, you have a breakaway switch. If this cable's pulled, it's going to apply the brakes, and that way it's not rolling down the highway. The vehicle is going to come to a stop. Now, we also have diode wiring or tow bar wiring, and this is going to transmit the light signals and possibly a 12-volt charge line from the 7-pole on your RV to the 6-pole on your towed vehicle, and eventually to your taillights to give you your running lights, turn signals, and brake lights, keeping you safe and legal. To get your Patriot installed on your Mini is not terribly hard to do, and that's kind of the pros of the portable systems. But all braking systems have a breakaway switch, and this one's no different. The attachment is a little different because you have a connector, which makes it really nice. You don't have to worry about having a long spool of things. You can get this mounted up and then later run the wires. It just attaches here. A lot of times I'll run some electrical tape around here just because it's on the front of the vehicle and I want to protect it long term. I'll also go back with some wire loom to clean it up. But this cable, you're going to need to run this into the firewall and down close to where you're going to be mounting up the Patriot. And on this car, it's not super easy to get through the firewall, but I'll show you how I did it. I routed our cables through the base plate. There's an opening here. My arms are still able to lock into place with no issue. And then from here, I just routed it up into the engine bay and made my way up. Eventually, I can zip tie this up to make it nice and clean. And the grommet's going to be located in this portion. So the plastic, if you peel up the stripping, there's also a plastic nut. If you take that off, that's going to allow you to at least see the grommet that's tucked way back there. That's going to allow you to see the grommet that's tucked back there. Now, normally there's a plastic cap located on it. I pried that off using a flathead. And the reason being is the wires go down at an angle, and that plastic cap makes it a little bit difficult to feed this through. But if you get that cap taken off, you'll find there's a nub there. You can cut that off and run your cable through. Now, you can also poke it through the backside, but again, taking off that plastic cap is going to make your life a lot easier. This is also a good time if you're going to be wanting to run a 12-volt outlet kit. We did the Roadmaster kit on ours today. So while running your breakaway switch plug, you might want to get those wires extended from your 12-volt outlet and run through the grommet. Now while you pull this panel up, that 12-volt outlet kit, I did extend the wires on mine and I routed it in the same threshold here because our battery is located on the passenger side. So it's just a series of clips. You can pop that up and then get attached to your battery. That way you have a constant 12 volt and that way you can power up your Patriot. Now to get the plug passed into this threshold, I did drill a hole here. I'll go back with some RTV silicone and seal that up. But I drilled it large enough for our plug to go through before going through the grommet. And to get the wires pulled through the grommet, it's very tight. So the best way that I've found is we use airline tube here, but if you have a pull wire of some sort that is flexible enough, but also still malleable to where it's going to hold shape and be a little bit firm, I was able to cut a hole in the grommet from the inside, pass this through, and once that cap from the outside was out, all I needed to do was get a little bit passed through and I could pull the rest of it out, tape up my wires, and then pull them back in. Now that grommet is pretty tucked up there, so if you reach up, you'll find that you'll have the rubber there. And just be careful if you're poking a hole through that grommet, there's a huge wire bundle there. Just make sure you find an open spot where you're not puncturing any of those wires in the process. And once you get those pulled through, it's pretty easy because you just need to get that 12 volt mounted up for the power for the Patriot and then run your breakaway switch to the braking system. And the 12 volt outlet, I just used the included bracket and mounted it up far enough back to where you can still access the OBD2 port. And it also pops out of the bracket, so if you need a little bit of mobility, you can do that. But it's a nice easy spot to where you can still plug it in and it's out of the way when it comes to normal driving. So once you plug in your 12 volt power from the braking system, you'll just take the breakaway plug, push this in, and then you're going to want to clamp this down around the pedal. It's a small pedal here, but this is a nice system. To unlock it, you just raise this up and that'll clip into place. Once you clamp this around the pedal, you'll just hold that in, push the back release tab, and that should close down on the pedal so that way it's nice and attached. From there, you're just going to adjust the feet and the backing plate here to where it rests against the seat. Once you're kind of fairly content, you may make some adjustments. I'm going to adjust my seat forward here to where it's almost against it. And then to test it, you'll just push power and then setup, and it's going to run through its paces. Now it's going to tell you pretty quick if it doesn't like the spot that it's at. In fact, if you push a little too much pressure on it, it'll give you an error saying that you have too much, as you can see there. So if you get that red light, just back your seat back a little bit, make some adjustments to where it can draw itself back, and then you can restart the process to make sure that it works properly. If you're having issues, you're not happy with the way that it's fitting or pushing on the pedal, you can always just make those adjustments, unplug the breakaway switch, and then run through that same process. And that really does it for the car side installation. It's pretty easy. Once we get our fascia put back on, we'll have our cable that'll attach to our breakaway switch, and then the larger portion is going to go to the hitch on the RV. And that way, if the braking system breakaway switch was pulled, it's going to apply the brakes on the vehicle, bringing it to a stop, and that way it's not rolling down the highway. But on the RV side, you'll have your monitor light, and something that I really like about the Patriot in general is all your monitoring is done here, and you can mount this on the dash on your RV. So you know right away if the brakes are being applied. You can also adjust the braking force. So you get a lot of heads-up display with this monitor. I really like that. Now, this is just a 12 volt, plugs into a cigarette style lighter on your RV. You have this mat that you can place this in. There's also a hook and loop that you can attach this to the dash however you want. Now, if your RV is a fairly newer one and you don't have this style of outlet, you can also pick up a USB option to still get that 12 volt power to our monitor. So I'll plug this into 12 volt power, and that way we can test to make sure that it's talking to our braking system and we can apply the brakes. So I just have this plugged into a jump box to simulate being hooked up to our RV. You'll see what we have our force at 5, and you're able to adjust that real easy, nice and simple uses. Buttons feel really good, so you can adjust that force while you're driving, which is something that you don't really get from a lot of other braking systems. Some of them do have adjustability, but others don't, and it's nice that you can really do this at the push of a button, and it's going to instantly change that, so you can dial it in while driving. Going to our menu, you can adjust sensitivity, you can adjust backlight, you can reset settings. So if you're pairing this with an older system, that's going to work well. You can adjust the backlight feature as well. So nighttime, daytime, you can get it to where you can see it. But you'll see that it has this brake button, and it acts kind of like a manual override on a braking system or a brake controller. So just pushing this should say manual brake. I can hear that it actuated, so that's a good sign. And the same goes for when you apply the brakes. You know, it's going to let you know that the brakes are being applied, and it all goes off of G-force. So those brakes are being applied whenever that G-force senses that the car is tilting forward. It'll apply those brakes, and so there's really nothing that you'll have to do. But if the car is getting a little squirrely while not applying brakes, you can just kind of drag that down just like you would a brake controller and bring it back straight. And this is super easy too. It'll say breakaway ready. So that means that it's paired with the braking system, but also if you're driving down the road and something catastrophic happens and your breakaway switch is pulled, it's also going to tell you what's going on. So I'll pull my breakaway switch, and immediately it tells you with an alarm and red screen that the breakaway has been pulled and to pull over immediately. So that's a great visual indicator that something's wrong. That way you don't have people waving you down telling you there's a problem. Your monitor light will let you know pretty quickly. And that was a look at installation of the Blue Ox Patriot portable braking system on a 2013 Mini Cooper.